All right. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's brainstorming session. So if you're new to this, like we do this every week. Every week's Wednesdays at 7 p.m. we have a brainstorming session where we take a certain topic and we have like 4 sessions on that topic per month. And we talk about everything ranging from identifying the problem statement and we have like focused discussions gearing towards a solution, right? And we as a debate club, as a platform, we are set up purely to have a space where intellectuals can come and have nuanced engagement with each other. And for the past 12 months we've been conducting events, on Saturday at 11 a.m. we have these like sessions where we come and have a debate topic, and we have participation from everybody. And this is something that we started doing like a couple of months ago, where every Wednesday at 7 p.m. we have these brainstorming topics, and we have like a solution oriented discussion. So this is it's going to be an interactive session where we take the problem statement and we talk about all the things that contribute to that, and then we figure out a way to come up with something that can act as somewhat of like a outline of a proposal on how to solve this problem. So we started this discussion last week. So last week was the first session. This is the second session. We're going to have a couple of more sessions until we wrap up on this topic. The topic is basically redefining the law enforcement and justice system in India. So last session we had a discussion on identifying the problems and comprehensively define all the pain points associated with the law enforcement and justice system in India. And this time we're going to have like a prioritization of the problems and coming up with the broad measures to solve these problems in a prioritized manner. And we can actually have like a fluid discussion where some of these things can actually change as we go through the things. And just to summarize what we talked about last time, we came up with some problems, which is like insufficient literacy of laws in India among the general public, the law enforcement officers as well. It's not just the general public who are ignorant of the laws or what their rights are. It's also the law enforcement, something they don't know what is allowed for them, what is not allowed. They rely on the ignorance of the public, and in a lot of times, that doesn't work. We've seen, events where cops kind of like harass, and then they end up like harassing the wrong person, and it's actually not great. And we also have insufficient incentives for qualified candidates to participate in law enforcement and judicial roles. And actually, last time there was somebody who joined in who was an advocate, and she was telling us about the problems that exist where it's not that there are not enough qualified people. It's more that the people who are qualified do not get sufficient incentive to participate in the system, and that's actually a big problem that's driving away qualified individuals from these roles. And then we also have insufficient number of law enforcement officers and police stations. And there is no separation between politics and law enforcement and bureaucracy. Opaque process of registering complaints, insufficient judicial resources, courts, judges, legal counsel that yields. And corruption among the hierarchy. Law enforcement is in the it's in the arm of politicians. That sounds weird. Cops don't know the protocols for registering complaints, processing evidence, among other legal procedures, which may lead to tampering of evidence and denial of justice. And right to defend through offense. I mean, this is not a problem in itself. We talked about that as a talking point. Poor coordination between police, lawyers, and judiciary. Ineffective carrot and stick, incentive and punishment to keep the cops and other representatives to perform. From delay in justice is a huge problem. There's like, the number of cases that get completed are lesser than the number of cases that are resolved per year is less than the number of cases that are registered. So there is like a steadily increasing backlog at any given time. And obviously we've all heard of the stories of like how many years it takes to get justice in anything. um, and insufficient psychological evaluation and resources for affected officers. One more thing was, um, I guess, like the poor output rate of judges. So coming to statistics, we talked about the number of people in jail waiting for their trial. 75%, over 75% of prisoners in India are actually under trial. That's insane. These people have not been convicted, but they're already being punished. And the number of police stations is very, very low. Number of cops citizens ratio is like very, very low. So we haven't, I mean, we didn't get the concrete statistics for all of these things, but these are all like some important things that we wanted to get the statistics on. Police reform. Some of these things are like things that people have suggested. One of the biggest things that was suggested was police reforms, revision in training protocols, revision in incentive structure, better oversight of their activities, and enforce punishment against corruption, protection to the police so that like they can enforce law without fear, enforcing laws on the enforcers of law, right? Mandatory education on application of constitutional rights, legal rights, human rights, and current affairs. Enforce laws to implement cameras in all police stations. Educational awareness of laws and the general public to form short form content. Actually, somebody told us that if you want to educate the public, you can actually create like reels on Instagram to educate them about like how these things are done. And better training to cops. I think this is already addressed. Storing surveillance footage in cloud, using AI to solve some legal cases, and also law enforcement insufficiency. Anyway, so these are all things that we discussed last time, and I hope we can have like a productive session today as well. So one of the things I want to start off with is like, let's actually go in a sequential manner in terms of like some of the primary issues, right? We have like a process for all the things that we are expecting these law enforcement and judiciary to solve. So one of the first things is like a if you talk about it in terms of like a event pipeline that involves law enforcement and judiciary, right? So we're not talking about the passage of laws or like the creation of new bills or something, but it's about the enforcement as well as the when the enforcement from law enforcement is done, then you have the judiciary to take care of like resolving conflicts and interpreting law and all these stuff. So the first thing is when we want to involve this in any manner, like we will try to um register a complaint at a police station. So that's like there's oftentimes that's one of the first points of contact that we have with the law enforcement. We try to register a complaint, and there are like a lot of issues with this as well, but we'll like seriously list a list of issues. Following up with a complaint that was registered. And by the way, like if any of you have any questions or thoughts or something, feel free to like raise your hand. You can raise your hand by clicking on the reaction button down below. So at the bottom, you'll see the react button, right? Click on that, and then you'll be able to raise your hand. And once you do, I'll basically like stop to ask you the question so that you can speak. Um, so so you register a complaint. You're following up with a complaint that was registered, and getting a resolution in a timely manner, escalating in case of discrepancies or delays. And then let's say that you're having to go to the court for this. Registering a case or suit. And to be honest, like I don't know much about this process that is involved. So I wish we had that person who came last time with a legal background. I don't know if any of you have any legal background in India. If you do, please you can unmute yourself and introduce yourself. So registering a case and getting a resolution, or in case if you are like falsely, in case of false case against you, or if you're falsely convicted. Um, remedy for legal remedy for such a situation. I don't know what exactly would be that, and you would probably like want to hire a lawyer, but obviously it doesn't matter like who you hire. It's a very ineffective process. So there are like problems in associated with each of these events that happen, and I have experience with these problems, right? Um, and I'm pretty sure like all of us have I mean, not all of us, but like maybe most of us have faced these issues, and I want us to like maybe like exchange points on like what kind of issues you've ever faced with registering a complaint. How many of you have had a opportunity to go and register a complaint at a police station?
Raghav, just a comparison. This is not about India, but when I lived in Italy, one female had to give me 50 euros. And when I inquired in the police station, the policeman told me that the case would take something like 6 years to finish. And even then, even after 6 years, if she wouldn't pay me, she will go to jail, but I wouldn't get back my 50 euros. Something like that happened. Like I'm just comparing India with a developed country. So don't think that even in developed countries, some developed countries, this problem still exists. Like getting the, justice, even partial justice will take maybe 5, 6 years or even 10 years.
See, I'm not here to like find solace in the problems that we have. Obviously, if you compare yourself with other countries, sure, you can either feel worse or good. That doesn't matter to me. I'm living in this country, and for me the most important thing is that I feel safe. And I'll be honest, I don't feel safe. The worst thing that can happen is like you run into a situation where you have to go to court for some reason. That's probably the worst thing that can happen to somebody who's living an honest living. um I mean, not the worst thing, but like worst normal or like non-fatal thing. Of course there could be something like an accident or something else, but dealing with something like this can basically drain your attention away from important things. And it's a very scary situation to be in, and it's actually a threat to democracy. So I'm not going to take solace in the fact that Italy has a very ineffective process as well, or US has a very ineffective process as well. I don't care. I care about this country and making sure that we have the right like solutions. And I think we all should. I know that you're not trying to say that comparison to say that like you're trying to bring solace and or acceptance into the fact, but I'm just saying to bring things into context. I think it's important that we try to solve problems independently, regardless of whether we are better or worse in comparison to somebody else. The more important thing is that as citizens of this country, do we feel like we're adequately served? You know, and the obvious answer is no. There is no way that we are even close to being adequately served. So but aside from that, like I want to know from others, like have you guys had any experience of like going to a police station to register a complaint? Guys, this is like an interactive session, so I don't know, don't feel like shy, but also like if you don't have anything to say about like the registering the complaint part, I also want to know like I see a lot of new people here, so I just want to get an understanding of like how many of you are actually interested in this topic. Like what is your interest in this topic? I want to get to know you guys as well as we do this. Maybe one of you can unmute yourself and introduce yourself and tell us like how you view this topic. Krishna, I see that you unmuted yourself, but I don't hear anything.
Hi. Hi, do you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you, Krishna. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is my first. I just installed Meetup, and I think Luckily, this is my first debate.
Okay. See, like I
Yeah,
said,
I
this is not
mean,
a debate,
I
it's
mean,
more of a brainstorming session. But go ahead. Yeah, tell us about your background. What makes you want to join this? Yeah.
I'm not here to discuss more about the topic or the judgment or the law thing that's going on in India. I just want to I like discussions. That's it. That's my main goal coming here. And my name is Hari Krishna. I live in Pondicherry.
Okay, thanks a lot,
So
Hari Krishna.
yeah,
All right. What about others? Like I think Snigdha, Mahadev, Jayesh, Google Kid, Anshul. What do you guys like have to say about this topic? Like I wanna hear some perspectives. Don't you all like feel like this is an important problem in our society, or do you all feel like this is normal? It's okay. I don't care about it. I want to know your thoughts. We have a very shy crowd today. Yeah,
Hello,
Jayesh, go ahead. Yeah.
hello everyone. My name is Jayesh. I am currently in my final year of BCom, and I've joined this session to know more about the laws of our country because most of my, not most, but I've heard a lot from people that whenever they had to go file complaint, it was a very basic thing. I mean, if they had a fight with somebody or anything like that, or problem with somebody, even those small problems were not addressed by the police. And I wanted to know more about this topic in general. So that's why I am here and I'm here to listen. I thought that there will be professionals. So
No, we are all like, we are the foremost professionals with this because like we are the citizens. For us,
right.
like this is we are the primary customers of this whole enterprise.
Yes,
Okay.
we are on receiving end.
Yeah, I mean, like not just the receiving end, this is the entire reason why it exists to serve us. So we are the even if you don't know much, right? Like we are the ultimate I guess like the reason why it exists, right?
Right.
So we should have like the whole just in case like anybody is new to the debate club itself as a platform. I just want to emphasize on the purpose of this platform. It is not like one of those seminar places where you have like a one directional interaction, right? Like you have an expert coming in and they talk and you just listen and go home or something. That exists around the country. Like we have so many of those. You can even turn on a TV and you can get some insights. But the thing is that we don't have enough of spaces where you come in and have like level-headed conversations with other people who are appreciative of like nuanced conversations. So that is missing in our country. So that's the reason why I set this up, so that like we can actually have intellectually nuanced conversations with people in a bidirectional way. Like you come and share your perspectives and other people come and do the same. So even if it's like a small group like this, we actually have like an interactive session. We can actually interact with other people who are in a similar boat as us. And even solving something like this, right? It's if you sit here and think that this is something to be left with professionals and we don't have to do anything, that is like not the right attitude to go about this. I think that citizens have to be informed about this, even if you're coming in just to like as a layman trying to crack this problem. It gives you a lot of insights as you attempt to do it, and that's actually what we've done. Like the past couple of months we had like different topics. We had like a session on like the month before this, I think September, we were having a conversation on how to regulate drugs in India. And then after that we were looking at like how to solve the unemployment crisis, and we learned a lot throughout the process. So it's just like a learning environment where we have an interactive process for learning. Okay. Anybody else have anything to say, like just to establish a rapport around here? Okay, looks like nobody has anything else to say. All right, I'll continue with what I was talking about here. So registering the complaint, right? So I've actually had to register a complaint for a few trivial things. For example, one time my PAN card got lost. I had to go to the police station, and they said that if you want to like have a replacement PAN card, you need to have a complaint registered with the cops. And that was one experience. Another experience was more recent. Like I actually had like fraudulent transactions on my credit card, and I called my bank, and they said that you have to register a complaint with the police for us to initiate the process of retrieving this amount. So I went and applied, like I went and filed a complaint. And both of the times, right, it was a pain. It's a very simple thing, but the first thing that cops in India always do is they reprimand you for having to be at the police station, because like you are coming in to give them work, and the moment you do that, like now you're like an inconvenience. So they actually, like, they do have like a, like a very discouraging attitude. But thankfully, like, not so much in Chennai. Like I've had a very worse encounters in other places, but Chennai, I think it was okay. They were not like very aggressive or anything. But if you go in there to, like, um to waste their time, they're very aggressive with you. And especially if you're trying to register a complaint with as an FIR, right? Forget about it, because it's not happening easily. Because for them, the moment they file an FIR, that actually counts into the statistics of like efficiency. Like, so if you file an FIR, it basically means that they have to close the count to actually show to their superiors, okay, they're actually working well. So the moment you file an FIR, it's like, it becomes like a huge workload for them. It actually like affects their careers or something. So they generally like prevent you from doing that. At one time, I remember, like, I lost my phone and I went in there to file a complaint, and they just said that, like, come back after some time. Our superior is not here or something. Like, it's insane. They have like people in the police station, and they just want you to, struggle around to like actually register a complaint. And another time, like, I had to, like, with the credit card complaint, like, actually I had to run around the whole department, going from one office to the other. They were all like pointing me to different directions, and I ended up like going to all the places. And they finally told me that, we don't take complaints on Saturdays or something. And then they just told me, come on Mondays or something. And this is the kind of thing that happens even registering a complaint. There is no effective way to do it. And one of the biggest reasons that I see is that there is no accountability. If they do these things right, there is no way to like actually record it or something. If you have, for example, like, video cameras in a police station, that is a much it's actually an effective deterrent of like poor behavior in the police station. So I'll just like list out some of the problems that happen with complaints. Is like they refusal.
Yeah, I would like to add an incident of mine actually. I don't now I remember. My wife, she lost something like 13K.
Mhm.
And when we went to the police station, we just registered the complaint, and the police did nothing about it because they said that the transactions were from outside Karnataka, and she said that she's only responsible for transactions that happens within the province.
Yeah.
And I don't know what kind of a stupid thing that was. I mean, why don't I mean I told her, why don't you take action? She said, there are only three of us in this police station, and we are responsible for this section of the Bangalore when it comes to cybercrime.
Hmm.
So if you want us to go and take action, you should pay us the whatever the cost of transport, cost of food, cost of accommodation, and so and so. Will you do that? She's asking. I mean, I mean, she said that in a nice way, but I mean, I was thinking, I mean, why don't cops coordinate? I mean, cops of
Yeah.
Rajasthan and Karnataka, why don't they coordinate? I was thinking. I mean, people,
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, if you lose money, let's say you lose something like 13, 14,000, you're not going to get it back. If you lose something like 1 lakh,
Hmm.
they take some 10,000 bribe and they give you back the rest of the amount. Something like that happens.
No, yeah, the same thing happened actually. My dad lost like 45,000 rupees in some, like, online SMS scam or something. And basically, like, they sent an SMS from the bank. It looked like it came from the bank, and if you click on the link, it takes you to a bank login page, and you enter your details, and then you get the OTP, and you enter the OTP, and they basically use the OTP to make transactions. So because you actually use the OTP to make you enter the OTP on their website. It looks like the bank's website for somebody who doesn't understand how banks work, how the URL works and all that, because it's not a HDFC URL or something. It's something else. It's misspelled combination of those words. So because like people don't realize that these kind of scams exist, they'll go and enter the OTP in that web page. As soon as they enter the OTP in the web page, they'll use the same credentials and then like go to your account and then log in and withdraw the amount. This is how like they do the scam. And it turned out that he made a complaint in a local police station here, and they ended up tracing it through some channels and they found out the person who did this is in Kolkata. Okay, and they said that they don't have the jurisdiction there, and they don't have the resources to go to Kolkata for this and talk to them. They said that if your amount is like more than 3 lakhs or something like that, we will go to that place. But for 45,000, we don't go. This is what they said. And
it's a very dumb thing. I mean, the technology exists. Like,
I mean,
Chennai
yeah,
police can communicate with the Kolkata police, and something can be done. I mean, I don't understand why they say one country. Or
exactly, yeah. So that is like a very evident problem. That's actually one of the reasons why all these scam people are thriving in India, because like we don't have the tools to actually combat these things.
we
That's
have
actually
the
a very good
technology.
problem.
I mean, actually, when my wife lost the money, the fraud person was traced and his account was blocked.
Hmm.
But then nothing else happened. I mean, they open a new bank account, they commit fraud, another bank account, they commit fraud, and it happens that way.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's just like lack of like innovation, or like actually trying to solve the problem. If you run it like a startup, right? If these whole infrastructure is being run like a startup, this will not be allowed. Actually, this will not actually happen. But the problem is that you have it's more like a 1980s government office. It's still the same. Like nothing has changed in the past like several decades. They've not really kept up with the technology or anything. And also the person at the police station said, like, actually they don't have the resources to actually follow through with any complaints. They just come there, do the bare minimum essentials, take their salary and go home. So that's how it usually works.
If it
Anyway,
is terrorism, don't you think Chennai police will communicate with Kolkata police?
no, it will. If it's terrorism, it will not be within their jurisdiction. They'll just like there are like special units for that, and
Okay.
they'll have their own processes for that. But this is the yeah, it's a severity of the complaint also matters.
Exactly. That's what I meant. I mean, for other severe offenses, I mean, you can't get away, but they think that this is a minor offense, and they somehow they give some stupid reasons. My
Yeah,
friend's dad is a lawyer. I mean, I asked him, I mean, can't I go to court and sue them? But he said it is not worth it. You can go to court, you can get back your money. I mean, if you go through all that, you might get back your money, but it is not worth it. To recover 13,000, maybe I'll have to spend something like 13 lakhs
yeah,
paying the lawyer and then going to the court. I mean, if I go to the court, I cannot work. You should count that also.
exactly. Yeah,
My
yeah.
time goes away.
That's what I did. Like, if you ever have to step into the courtroom for whatever reason, whether you're the victim or the perpetrator, you're done. Like just having to go there, it's a it's a it's a profound like punishment in itself. Anyway, so let's actually like look at it as a process, right? Like, what happens when we go and go to a complaint? Like, you have a problem. Let's say encounter a problem. This is an event that happens, and you then go to the police station. Now, there is no way to like create a complaint just like that online or something. I think it's important that we need to have some kind of a complaint registration, like preliminary complaint registration process that happens. Register a complaint and
Raghu,
receive. Mhm.
Raghu, can you give more context about this encounter a problem?
I'm just saying any kind of a problem where you're having to go to a police station, right?
Or
It could be anything as simple as like you losing some money online, or maybe you're getting harassed by your neighbors, or maybe there was a theft at your place, or maybe somebody attacked you. Maybe your housemate stole your passport and left somewhere. Anything can happen. I'm just like saying it's you're encountering a certain problem that is requiring you to go to police station. So I'm just like mapping out the flow of how things happen and how they should happen, at least. So I just want to like like from a logical perspective, if you were to like come up with a completely brand new law enforcement system, right? How would you structure it? That's what I'm trying to like do right now. So that like we have some clarity as to how a modern day law enforcement system should operate. So the moment you encounter police station, I mean, encounter problem, I think we should have the facility to register a complaint online, and I think they do this for something like cyber crimes and things like that. I did file like a complaint, online complaint on a cyber crime that happened, but I'm not sure if it's possible to.
I believe it is possible to register an FIR online.
At some police stations, in digital police citizen offices, the portal allows citizens to file crime-related complaints online. Provides an online form for lodging complaints about crimes, email or register online complaint.
Raghav, I have one question. I mean,
Mhm.
just a generic question.
Mhm.
Sometimes you can go to the CBI, right? The Central Bureau.
Mhm.
Under what circumstances, I mean, can you go to them? I mean, is it only after you go to the local police and you're not satisfied, or can you directly go to the CBI?
Dude, CBI is like a federal agency that they refer. You know, the you have to start with the police, local police. It's only when the CBI takes an interest in the case, or if the court is like referring the case to CBI. That's how these things happen. I don't think you directly go to CBI. I'm not really sure. Um, Visit a CBI office, send complaint by mail. Yeah, I wonder how effective this is actually. Like, I don't think you might even get a response.
Generally speaking, the central government is more effective than the local governments. Generally speaking, I mean.
Hmm. See, they say this like, however, CBI does not usually investigate general or routine crimes. Yeah, I guess like there is a way to. Yeah, you see this, right? The focus is on like corruption by public servants of central government. That is the narrow scope in which they take the complaints directly about.
What if you want to report corruption in the local police itself?
That's what they're talking about central government only.
No. I'm talking about if a local policeman asks you for bribe,
Mhm.
then whom should you approach? I know there is an agency called as Anti-Corruption Bureau, but is that only it?
I'm not really sure, man. I'm not an expert on this, to be honest. I honestly like the reason why I took this topic is because like I have a certain from a product development perspective, right? You have to like the first thing that you do is like understand your customer or your other person who's going to use your product, and from there you sort of like aim for the best user experience, and then you reverse engineer the technology and the implementation of all the things that you have to do to achieve that outcome. And I'm taking that same approach because we are the customers here right now, and what do we want the law enforcement to work like. So I'm mapping that out so that like there is a perspective as to what the general public wants. That is actually the most relevant outcome that we can provide, because like we're not legal experts, so we don't know what is actually how things happen and what are the challenges in there. So I think that one of the best outcomes that we can aim for this month of sessions is basically just talk about how we would expect, how we would want the law enforcement to actually operate.
Sorry, Raghav, I lost your audio for a minute or so. I was talking about the Anti-Corruption Bureau. How are they involved?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Okay, fine.
So encounter problem, register complaint online, and once you register, receive acknowledgement. Acknowledge. My God, I forgot how to spell. Receive acknowledgement and live tracking and resolution time. Actually, like imagine if you had like a consumer product, right? Let's say that you have Zomato and you order food on Zomato and you have like a really poor experience, and you create a ticket and they don't do anything about it for like 6 months. That'll be like a disaster for them. Like if this happens in a large scale, then it'll be a disaster for the company. I think we should expect government to operate with the same level of like commitment as like these companies do. These companies have a commitment for. It's just that there is no incentive for them to improve the efficiency, because like there is no other option. We only have the government, and you can't oppose the government. You know, so there is no alternative to the government. So register complaint online, receive acknowledgement and live tracking, and commitment to the resolution time. Um, Investigate. So they investigate, and either you so I think this should be so you either close it or you reject the complaint with a valid reason, or resolve the complaint the satisfaction of the complainant. The other thing would be to request the complainant to visit the local police station for further details and recounting with an appointment time. With an appointment time and the name of the investigating officer. With live tracking, assignment of the case officer. So if you have something like this, right? Let's say that they rejected. Now you need to have the option to file a grievance with the resolution. So when they do this, the case is escalated. Further investigation happens. I think that we have to have some kind of a limits and checks so that like there is no abuse of this system. So the whole purpose of this is to serve the citizens. But if it turns out that some people are actually trying to take advantage of this, and then misusing the resources of the public, then we need to actually charge them with a fine or something. So upon further investigation, if it turns out that is the complaint legitimate, so if the complaint is legitimate, then So if it is a yes, then you have additional resources are applied to the case. If it is not, then a fine is charged on the complainant to for abusing public resources with a false complaint. And if it turns out that this is automatically trigger a warning saying that if this is a case similar to other legitimate cases that have been granted additional resources, a special complaint has to be made to investigate the recurrence of this type of complaint. Like imagine if you have the things like the cybercrime stuff, right? I see so many people these days complaining about having lost money online and having their resources taken away. Like some actually I've seen like old people, right? Especially they are very susceptible to this because they don't understand technology. So what happens usually is that they'll have some savings or some kind of a thing, and they'll get stuck into this kind of a scheme. Sometimes it's like these kind of scams, but also sometimes it's like very more elaborate investment schemes. They'll say like, join a Telegram channel and we'll give you investment opportunities where you get like 10x your revenue. And also there are things like, for example, like work from home jobs, this that, where they try to like get the details of these people who are already suffering. The whole reason why somebody is like going for a work from home job is that they don't have a job. So for somebody like that, if you're taking their um, hopes away, their savings away, that's an insane thing to do. And this happens on a large scale. It's almost like an industry in itself. And people, especially in North India, like I think in West Bengal, it's actually a hotspot for um, these kind of like criminal activities. Their entire world knows Indians as scam callers because of them. Like they know that Indian people are, they think that Indian people are, the only thing they do is like do scam calls and like steal information. And that's a reputation that they're giving us. It's a national nuisance, actually, international nuisance, and also national embarrassment and national, almost like a security consideration, because like you're actually losing soft power over this, and you're letting a situation happen where Indians abroad are actually the victims, because like they'll get like people being racist to them because of these kind of people doing things and representing the country. It's actually bringing a bad name to the nation, right? So things like that, if that those kind of things are routinely happening and a special case has to be complained, and there has to be such a special team that investigates the basis of these crimes.
Raghu, I wanted to report another incident, like not a one incident, but this is more related to law. There was one medium-sized bank that committed fraud, a small or medium-sized bank. Some person in the bank committed fraud. So all the bank accounts were frozen, and pensioners, their money was frozen in the bank. So those who were living on the pension amount, I mean, whatever savings they had put in the bank, they couldn't even touch that until
Yeah.
the case was solved. I mean, the money was frozen, and people wouldn't even get interest for that money. Something like this happens.
How long did
When
it take to resolve the case?
it's still not resolved. Some big organizations, big banks, if they commit fraud, something like this happens. I mean, there is some agency that that will try to solve everything. Until then, your money will be frozen. Something like this happens in India.
See, for this kind of things, right, there is like ombudsman and all these things are there. You can actually like file a complaint against the bank, and these banks have insurances. Okay, it should not happen like especially with financial institutions. There is like better relief. You know, whenever I face complaints with banks or like fraudulent transactions, from the bank side, they do everything really quickly, no matter which bank you talk about. Okay, they have like a 24-hour, 48-hour like timeline. That's how they operate.
Those are large size banks like SBI, ICICI. Those are very big banks. I'm talking about small banks, very small
Yeah.
banks who don't even have online portals. Something like that I'm talking about.
Usually,
Yeah.
those problems get solved within 3 to 4 years because many of my relatives put their money in a cooperative bank, and the bank got shut, and then they got the money after almost 3 to 4 years. The RBI does this. The RBI handles this part of the work, and the upper limit for it is 5 lakh. If you have more than 5 lakh in your bank account, you will not get uh, more than 5 lakh. You will just get 5 lakhs.
Yeah. I guess like that's why maybe you should not go for small banks. But yeah, man, I just wonder like what would happen to these people who, especially who are from villages or something. Imagine their plight. So I guess like this in itself should be um like a sufficient thing, you know, like if this happens on a large scale and you're actually trying to solve the problems in the same way that a startup would solve its you know, like financial bottlenecks and all this stuff, that'll be, you know, that'll be very, very revolutionary. I think like if we can do this, like I think people would not even imagine the amount of um I guess like development that would actually happen if government if operated with the same level of efficiency as a startup, you know. So I think this is like one um flow of like how to handle complaints. um I think the police station should not be a place where you actually go to come to create a complaint. You should just be able to do this online. There's no need to actually go to the police station, you know. It's only necessary if you're actually trying to escalate or do something else. So do you guys like get this flow? So I'll walk us through this once. So let's say you encounter a problem, maybe some money is stolen from your account or whatever happens. You go online and you have a simple form that lets you register the complaint. Once you register the complaint, you get an email acknowledgement saying that you know your complaint is registered. This is your person handling the case, and this is the live tracking. And if somebody, if the case officer, like you know, reassigns the ticket to somebody else, then you know you that update is like shown in the live tracking, and you get the update as well. And then you have a finite resolution time, like you know, within 24 to 48 hours you'll get a at least like an acknowledgement of the next step or something. So they'll do the investigation and then they'll request the complainant either to visit the police station um to get the thing to get like additional details. And when they go to the police station, um I guess like you can access additional resources, you can offer additional details and access additional resources that are not possible online. If it's a serious issue, right, like if you want like immediate action, then you go there. And let's say they investigate that issue and then they find out that this is not a valid complaint. They have to specify the reason why they are actually rejecting the complaint. And if the person wants to, you know, file a grievance, um, They can do that, and then the case is escalated further, and then they check whether the complaint is legitimate or not. If the complaint is legitimate, then they allocate additional resources to the case. And if it is not, then they just like a fine is charged on the complainant for abusing public resources with a false complaint. I think that there is a lot of room for abuse of this as well. Like what if the cops don't want to take the case? They can simply do this. So here you can basically have an escalate to the court, which will investigate the records for this complaint from the cops. So obviously when they do all this, like they'll have to like justify the reason why they're doing this. And additional resources applied to this case. And then if the case is similar to other legitimate cases that have been granted additional resources, a special complaint has to be made to investigate the recurrence of this type of complaint. A special committee is formed. And all this means that you have to hire more people, hire qualified people, give them the incentives to stay there and do all the work and all this stuff. See, unless you do this kind of like a secondary problem solving, you're never going to stop firefighting. Right. And I think that is actually a problem across the world, actually, not just in India. Around the world, you have like situations where multiple unconnected crimes happen and people just end up doing like firefighting on the ground. They never try to connect it to a larger problem, root of the problem. And I think there has to be some kind of a competition between the legal agencies of different parts of the country where they get incentivized for being better, being better than the other agencies. So I think we have to come up with an incentive structure as well. By the way, I have to go sooner today. Like usually we end at like 8:30, but today I have another thing at 8, so I'll have to go in a few minutes. But I think we need to discuss this in the next session where we talk about how to incentivize the law enforcement to operate effectively, how to commission the resources where resources are needed with an act similar to RTE or something. RTI. With RTI, like, there is a requirement of like resolving the thing with a certain timeline or something. So if a police station is requesting resources to deal with certain complaints, right, they should have that. So I think that kind of incentive has to be there. They should be granted those incentives, those additional resources. And also discuss the number problem with inadequate law enforcement centers, police stations, and cops. So I want us to maybe like talk about like how do we actually create an incentive for these things to happen effectively, and all this. So we have a couple of minutes. I want to like hear your any thoughts you guys have. Like I think Mahadev and MSP, you guys didn't really say anything. I want to hear some thoughts. Anything that you think would be good to discuss regarding this topic? And MSP, I think you didn't really. I think you joined like later. So do you want to like tell us like why you joined? We would love to know. Okay, I guess like no response.
Yeah, I'm quite late to the session and I'm totally new to the topic.
No worries. See, like we conduct these like brainstorming sessions at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays, every Wednesday. And we just like take a topic and we talk about like, how do we actually solve this problem, or at least try to understand the problem in the first place. So the topic for this month, so we have like 4 sessions on a particular topic. So topic for this month is like redefining the law enforcement and justice system in India. And you can actually see the recordings for these sessions on your YouTube channel. You can see this at the debateclub.info. So if you go to the debateclub.info, you can see links to our YouTube channel and everything. So we just have these discussions. Maybe next time when you join on time, we can have like a conversation on how we can do these things.
Yeah, okay. I'll be joining.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys, for joining. We'll catch up next Wednesday on the other aspects of the same topic. Bye, everyone.